is by Mr. Vijay Sethi. It's about the changing roles of CIOs in a connected world. Mr. Vijay Sethi, Chief Information Officer and Head Corporate Social Responsibility, Hero MotoCorp Limited. Mr. Sethi is the Chief Information Officer and Head Corporate Social Responsibility at Hero MotoCorp Limited, the world's largest two-wheeler manufacturing company. He also leads innovation efforts in the company and headed HR function for some time earlier. Rated as India's best CIO, he has won several prestigious recognitions, including CIO of the Year, CIO Hall of Fame, Super League CIO, Champion CIO, Global CIO Hall of Fame, Icon CIO, Transformation Icon, Automobile Icon, Most Influential CIO, Innovative CIO, Most Respected CIO, Ace CIO, India's Best IT Manager, Cloud Pioneer, CIO Grandmaster, BI Mastermind, and many, many others. Mr. Sethi has also featured in the list of the world's top 50 CIOs, in the list of India's greatest corporate leaders, and in the compendium, The Magnificent Heroes, a coffee table book, and in the Book of Jewels of Digital. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome on the dais, Mr. Vijay Sethi.
Over the next 30 minutes or so, 25-30 minutes, I'll share my thoughts on the changing role of CIO, how CIOs, the way they used to work, they currently work, and the way they should work is changing or not changing either. So I wanted to start with this thing that all of us know. The only thing which is constant in life is change. We have been taught this thing right from the time when we were in school. Even today, it's very clear that the only thing which is constant is change. We have seen so many changes in our lifetime. Some have happened much before all of us. The world has changed over the years. And for example, if you look at cities, so this is London city. This city of London, maybe 100, 120 years back. But if someone shows this picture today, one can't even imagine that this is how cities used to be. And today a city would be, a London city, the same picture is this. So just imagine from IT perspective how IT has changed. So this is how the cities have changed or how the factories have changed. So everyone is talking of Industry 4.0, but this is Industry 1.0. So this is how factories used to be there. And today, you won't find any factory which doesn't have automation, digitization, robotics, all the new buzzwords that either IT people or IT consultants keep on coming up with. Today, that's the word. Or there's a major change that's happening in our life or has happened. So some changes do take a lot of time. So the city of London, from whatever it was to whatever it is now, maybe it has taken 50, 70 years. IT, the way it has changed, maybe 50, 60 years. But there are some changes which actually happen in few hours. 8:20 p.m., our life was this. 8:21, everyone was just scrambling, can I get Paytm right now, can I download, or MobiQuick, or Pizza. So only constant is change. Same thing is there for our IT role. So if you look at IT, this used to be the IT word, what, 30 years back, or less than that, 1990, around 1990, 25, 27 years back, 2000, not even 1990, 1998, no one, the kids born after that, or around that won't even recognize this thing. This is what? 28 years back, or server rooms in all our companies. 10 years back, 15 years back. But if you show these pictures to even the people who have joined IT team today, they'll refuse to join your organization. That's how IT is. ऐसी कंपनी में ऐसा server room, forget it. They would want a server room like this. Or don't tell me about those floppies. Don't tell me that we used to do COBOL programming in Pascal and all those things. Can you tell me something you do on Mac? Can you tell me whether they understand those words or not? Or at least they'll ask you those right questions so that they feel that they are also part of this. Or are you doing something on IoT? Or connected cars? Or connected helmets? Or robotics? You use 3D printers. 10 years back, most of the people didn't even have printers at their home. Even for printing the worksheets of the kids, they would come to office and come to after 6:30 when everybody will print all those sheets. And today the same guys are talking about doing 3D printers. That's how world has changed for the last 10, 15, 20 years. That's the change that has happened in our life. Industry 1, 2, 3. Everyone is talking 4.0. That's what the change is all about. So the only thing which is constant in our life is change. So the reality is everything has changed. You think of anything, it has changed. But has it really changed? That is the question there. What about CIOs? Have they changed? Or are they still the same guys who would get into a server room, call their database administrator, start dump whatever they want to do, or could do more servers, do one this? Are they still in that mode? Or have they really changed? In my view, if one would talk to some CIOs or lot of CIOs beyond their official or a public setting, in official setting, in public setting, there are a lot of stuff which is said which may not be the actual one. So what do CIOs feel? Some of them say everything has changed, the world has changed, we used to do this thing, now I just work on IoT, just work on Mac, as if I have forgotten all other things which are running in my organization, as if I've just dumped it. So everything has changed. So some people will go up to that because that's the coolest thing to say, that's the thing that people say so that they get a good job. Some will actually come to, I'm not too sure if something. Actually nothing has changed for me. That's a lot of people. I used to come to office, I used to call my IT managers, do this. 10 years back, today I'm doing exactly the same thing. Maybe something has changed, maybe some technology has changed, but I never got into technology those days, I never get into technology these days. So I used to call, I used to do some bit of project management at that time. I'm doing same project management or man management now, and nothing in life has changed. That's what some CIOs would say. And I don't want to get into a show of hands at which one any one of us is, because chances are that all of us could say this, so I don't want to get into this at all. Someone will say that actually nothing has changed, but everything is different. Earlier the PC used to look like this, now it's an iPad or a tablet. Work वैसी like जैसी पहली थी वैसी चलती. Things look different, but nothing has changed. And someone will be going to the other extreme. I see nothing has really changed in life. The IT, as it used to be, the role of CIO, as it may be a connected word, it may be anything, but the reality is nothing else. So the truth will be somewhere in between, as we all know. We will just spend 2-3 minutes, get your views on how you feel the life of CIO has changed, and then I get into my views on how the life of CIO has changed, how the role has changed. Anyone? I'll request my good friend out here to get his views, and then I'll share my views on how the thing is, or not changed either way. I don't want to preempt the answers at this time. Can you get mic? Some bit of interactive session rather than I doing monologue.
Yeah, I think it's very well said by Mr. Sethi that things have changed, and therefore the role of CIO is also changing. And what I feel from my personal experience is that we have to keep on learning new things. While doing that, we have to unlearn old things and then relearn the things which are coming up, whether it is technology or it is our environment. This is one aspect which I feel. Second is that like we are changing, the world is changing, we are becoming more and more process oriented. So all of us have to adopt a process-based working rather than the ad hoc working, whether it is in our personal life or official life. And third and important thing is that while we are going more and more digital, my personal experience is the analog touch still remains important. So you have to stay connected with people, you have to stay connected with processes, and you have to stay connected with technology. And I have been hearing Mr. Sethi on these topics and look forward to hear more in this session now. Thank you.
You're putting pressure back on me. Okay, anyone else? Has the role of CIO really changed? Or actually, it has not changed, though CIOs do claim it has changed. Is it that?
I think the most important thing is that 35, 40 years back, a CIO used to be called EDP manager. In a lot of concerns. This term
So
CIO...
the designation has changed.
But his level of functioning has also changed. He began life, usually in a lot of companies, reporting to the head of finance. Then it was over time that he got an independent status, maybe reporting to one of the directors, now reporting to the board. So that way, the importance of the function has got reflected in the status of the head of IT in the organization. That's been very clear. And secondly, in the initial days, all the EDP managers or CIOs used to try and row their own boats, develop everything on their own. That has dramatically changed. The pace of progress is so fast that you have to really pick good solution providers to do whatever you want to do. So you really become a sort of chooser of technology and applications. So
that I agree. There's only one minor change in that. When you say EDP managers or head of IT, whatever you used to call them at that time, report to head of finance. Now, many of those CIOs actually report to CFO. So, head of finance designation has changed. Head of IT or EDP manager designation has changed. But I still feel in a lot of cases they still do that EDP manager's role. Yes, sir.
Hello.
Okay. Sethi, although I'm not a CIO myself, but as a company owner and manager, what I see the role of CIO changing is that business has become dependent on IT. And therefore, they are playing a more interactive role in the running of businesses, ERP for instance. They're playing a more important role there. And it's no longer, crunching old data, but it's producing data which can help you to course correct your situation. I think that is the major thing in this life.
Anyone else? Yeah. That second last one.
Thank you. Actually, changed, I would rather say, not changed, but it evolved. So
it's not changed?
Evolved. I would use
so
the
it's
word,
not changed?
It's not changed in the sense that what we have seen in the past, like you showed those old servers, all those things.
Something like
one
this.
way
Evolved means something like this.
Yeah. It's something, we worked in that way, but over time, we have become smarter. We used to
meaning IT people or the users?
I'm talking about the CIOs and other areas. Okay, so they used to think of one or two things, but over time they started thinking of multiple things. So it's the change. I would be in the mindset, in the thinking that we used to think with maybe a few items, but now we think in terms of many items, and the responsibility has moved into many folds. So those are the changes may have happened, but again I would say that it's evolved. Thank you.
Yes, the person at the back, but yeah, you can just. There's only one point in this. Just think from within. More of a discussion we are having. That have the IT heads, CIOs, whatever you may call them, have now started working on 200 things or other things because they have evolved, or because the users have evolved. Because the mindset of CEOs have evolved. Now they understand what technology can really help them in increasing their sales, top line, bottom line, whatever. So they are putting pressure back on CIOs, so CIOs have no option but to change or evolve. Or is it coming from within CIOs that I have to do? So think about it. So it could be that also, because, for example, any company, you take your marketing people, sales people, the fresh kids who join, 90% of them would be BE computer science. They're not joining IT department. The remaining 10% would have done some Java course, irrespective after their 12th class or 13th, whatever, first year, second year. So the entire ecosystem has become so IT savvy that these guys, including me, of course, don't have an option but to change or evolve. Is it that also, or is it coming from within? Yeah, sorry, sir.
Yeah. Actually, I think the IT functions at this moment in the organization is playing a very important role compared to what it used to play earlier. In terms of data generation, data analysis, so definitely there is a change in that. From the security perspective, there has been a sea change. Now we are more concerned regarding security. Probably around 4 years, 3 years, 4 years back, we used to be less concerned about security compared to what we do now. So from that perspective, there is definitely a change. As the technology is changing very fast, so we also need to understand the technology in a much better way, much faster way compared to the previous years. So in my opinion, definitely it has changed.
So again, let's think over it. The more pressure for changing or giving focus to security is coming because of CIO, or because every member of board also reads the same Economic Times, same magazine where all these breaches are, and then next day morning asks, "हाँ भैया तुम security का क्या कर रहे हो?" And then these guys would think of this, and then he also calls all his guys, "Let's put in the best thing, this thing." So it again works both ways. Because I think one of the reasons for evolution also is a forced change. Because if you think dispassionately, whenever, and he's 100% right that the role of CIO has evolved from EDP manager or IT manager, whatever we used to call it, MIS manager. Even at that time, people were supposed to look after security. Whether you had antivirus at that time or firewall or whatever those things used to be supposed to think. Those things have evolved, threats have evolved, so you need to really get. At that time also, you were supposed to give in all those analytics for reporting, but you would turn out some MIS reports which no one would read. देखा हाँ 500 पेज आ गए, टिक लगा दिया, इस बार की रिपोर्ट आ गई, नेक्स्ट वन देखेंगे. But actually, the role even at that time was supposed to help the business to ensure that business grows. It was not for the IT managers to grow. But were we playing as CIOs or IT heads or EDP managers our role at that time? Or now are we being forced to play that role because the entire ecosystem has also become, and we have also become smarter, as someone rightly said.
I think the entire ecosystem has changed. So that is the primary reason.
So then maybe I go back to his point where actually the role has evolved and not changed. We were not doing, we were supposed to do something at that time which we are not doing. So today, since the entire ecosystem has evolved, we don't have an option but to do that. I will do an IoT project not because I want to do IoT, because either I have to go and say somewhere that I am doing some IoT project, or my boss or somebody said, "अच्छा वो company IoT कर रही तुम क्या कर रहे हो?" This is the reality. So then I'll say, okay, I'll call up 4 startups. Yes, please go ahead, do IoT, कुछ तो कर दो या दिखाने में.
Or it may be that IoT can do some things, some other activity in a faster way.
Correct.
So it is a necessity to have IoT.
Any other point before we move on? I'm happy with that. Yes, sir. You might have to just tweak it out.
Hello. This may be a very generalized questions or a very layman's approach, or maybe very silly. Being a CIO or a CFO or CEO, whatever it is, whenever you are doing some work for yourself or for your organization, you first of all, a person remains to be happy and cool-headed.
Absolutely.
So, over these ever-changing years and all, what's your take? Have you been able to keep your cool and deliver what you know and take out the best of you to the best interests of the organization?
That's my personal take. You asking my personal take or in generic? You want a generic answer or my personal answer?
Yeah, both are intertwined. Both are intertwined. What's your experience?
May not be intertwined, but from my own perspective, I think as you would have heard, I started as something different, went into IT, went into HR, CSR, IT. So all those things have been doing. So it's also only possible to do more stuff if you are not too stressed out. If you are stressed out, even the current job assigned to you will not be able to do. That's reality. So if you think the day we are stressed out, even driving to office becomes a pain. But if you are not stressed out and you're cool, you don't even know, acha, office aa bhi gaya, pata bhi nahi chala. So that's how it works. So I think stress is there in everybody's, in all lives, companies, and that ecosystem as well. But it depends on individuals also as to how you can really keep cool. That would be my. Yes, sir.
Smoother or rapid one so that you fall down.
Yes.
That change is not required and that change should not be adopted.
Yes. Correct. Okay, let's move on.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think the expectations of the management has changed, and the expectation is not changed because just it is changed. Expectation has come from the compulsion. See, I am a CIO. I sit in the many of the important meetings, review meetings and all, including the audit meetings. So, अरे ये इस बार फिजिकल स्टॉक चेक हुआ, ये प्रॉब्लम हुआ,
IT वाले को बुला लो,
IT को
ऑटोमेट कर दो।
अरे इसमें ये बारकोड स्कैनर लगाओ, नेक्स्ट बार से ये नहीं होगा, वो वेयरहाउस मैनेजमेंट कर दो। My company
so is it changing the role? If I think from a role perspective, IT is supposed to automate critically one role. Over here, we never automated that part. Now this needs to be automated, but it never came from IT. It now is being forced by audit committee, board, CIO, CFO.
So that's the role of the CIO is now changed. So now they are expected to be a solution provider for all issues. Not only the issues which are coming, but the issues which are expected to come. Like I just want to give you one more example. We are into O&M business, operation and maintenance. So we will be giving support to the 10 years now. What will be the expected downtime which is going to come for we are in the solar powers, for the inverter or for the solar unit, those kind of informations and the analytics. And so it is very important for the CIO to get some kind of a business understanding. The CIO has to be more. Earlier, most of the CIOs are working for the finance manager. You said that somebody started that. So the EDP manager reporting the CFO and all. So the CIO, the role has changed. So that they are now part of the business. And they are now part of the main business. Also the solution provider. Also, they are also giving sort of the guidance for the future. So that's what
my only one line comment on this is people talk about business alignment of IT. I only ask people one question. Tell me one organization on earth which has IT and not business. What are we aligning? IT exists just because of business. So it's only the priorities that need to be aligned, not the business IT alignment. Same thing. So many people were not doing that. They were supposed to do that, but today they are being forced. Okay. Somewhere I personally feel the role is either has changed or changed. That's the discussion that we were having. But if you dispassionately actually analyze, the role is different, but lot of role is yet the same. What is that same? The fundamentals of role of CIO actually, when he was EDP manager, even today or maybe 20 years later, would actually remain same. At that time, we were supposed to ensure that IT investments deliver value to the business. You tell me that when people were EDP managers, at that time IT were putting in servers without delivering value to business. They're not being done for IT. They're being done for the business. Or they have to help, whether you churn out those 500 pages reports, which was this big thick, or you churn out a good dashboard today on mobile. It is to help improve top line, bottom line of the organization, improve productivity or compliance, the audit part. Even at that time, we were supposed to do that. Maybe we are not doing it. But if you really think dispassionately, maybe we are not doing our role at that time to that extent, And one of the reasons could be the ecosystem itself was not evolved. If you would give those details to someone, if you give that security thing to someone, they'll say, "Chahiye nahi, itna to hota hi nahi." Now since everyone knows, so you are actually forced to do a lot of such stuff. Or even at that time, you are supposed to work with business leaders or board or someone. Whether it is finance at that time, if you are reporting to finance, so you are supposed to work with finance and you automate only the finance and you forget all other functions because the finance head was your boss. Or others, for someone if the boss was production head, he will make 50% of the project production based. But even at that time, or 2 years back or 5 years back, each one of us was expected to work with other business functions and ensure that their things are. So from that perspective, it is still the same. But there is some bit of difference also. What's the difference? Lot has changed. I agree with many of you who are saying that lot has changed. What has changed? Today, CIOs are actually more of orchestrators, more of planners, more of to do where you are actually integrating from a technology perspective. You are not really building capabilities to develop programs on whatever languages exist today, a PHP or ABC or XYZ. But as I think he rightly said, you have to actually ensure that what is there in the ecosystem, which can, maybe it's just a small thing which is helping 5 users, you are an orchestrator of that, and how does it get integrated with your own system? So you have to change your own skill metrics. But you are putting in those systems to help what? If you go back, it is being done to help improve the top line, bottom line compliance or anything. From that perspective, the role of anything that you do is still the same. Maybe you are working with startups, maybe working with anyone. You are working as integrators of software, systems, PaaS, IaaS, DaaS, whatever as a service comes today. But you are doing everything to do those 4 things. If you are not doing to do those 4 things of top line, bottom line, compliance, etc., then that is a waste of money of the company. That role still remains the same. And then people say that, okay, now I'm not focusing on on-premise, I'm focusing on cloud, I'm focusing on analytics, which is right. Again, you need to change your skills. But again being done, so while it's different from this perspective, but the fundamentals still remain same. I will not do analytics if it doesn't help me that base thing which it used to do 5 years back when there's no mobility, no analytics. Even at that time, you used to do things for helping the business in those 3 areas. Even today, I'm doing that. Or what I need to do in my, how it has evolved or changed is my own skill mix, the way I have my own teams or myself. Because today the technology is so fast evolving. People, the CIOs also need to ensure that can you make your own processes, as Vipul was rightly saying, or the people part, that your teams are such that you can work with startups, you can ensure rapid execution. Earlier, same EDP managers would do a project and say, 3 saal mein SAP lag jayega. And people would clap, very good, we did it in 3 years. Now if you tell them I'm doing in 3 months, itni der, can we do it in 3 weeks? That's the answer. That's how the expectations have changed. And expectations have not changed because of the CIO, because the ecosystem has evolved. The needs, whether the users or the providers, have changed. And that's where the CIO's role or CIO's evolution is, that you need to change your mindset and the skill mix of yourself and your team. And if you can do that, I think whatever is expected from CIO, irrespective of whatever technology comes in, whatever new things, whether it is predictive analytics, whether it is 3D printing, augmented reality, virtual reality, anything, the key thing would always remain same. And last thing, CIOs today are supposed to expected to focus a lot on customer experience. You would not, earlier you would give a blue, green, gray screen and give 5 fields somewhere, people would work. But now the entire ecosystem has evolved so much. Your user base has kind of technologically evolved so much that their expectations are so high that as CIOs, we need to focus a lot on customer experience also, which was not being done. So from one perspective, it was expected earlier also. So it's supposed to be same, but it is different also because we are not doing that part. So that's how the entire thing has changed. I know we got 2-3 more minutes left. So just to conclude, as I said earlier, change is the only constant in life. Life is about change. Some of these changes could be beautiful, many of these are painful, but finally there's always a mixed emotion. one would say that, okay, this change was good, bad, but there will be some good part to it, some bad part. Similarly, for the role of CIO, some part of it is good, some part it, of course, puts pressure back on CIO to evolve themselves, to update themselves, update their teams. And that's where the painful part also comes. But when you see the benefits of that back onto your organization, that's where you also feel happy. And that's where you need to work on it. So for CIOs, everything has changed. But the reality is, it's also the same story. You still have to work on top line, you still have to work on bottom line, you still have to ensure compliance. Irrespective, whether you put a software on as a service or you put it on premise, whether you work with a startup or you work with a big company like IBM or HP, you just still have to do that. Whether you work on predictive analytics or give them a simple report as a printout or on their mobile phone. It has to be the same story. You have to deliver value to the business. And that we all were supposed to deliver even 20 years back. Maybe we are delivering, maybe we are not delivering. I'm not getting to that debate. But from that perspective, it's still the same story. Compliance, at that time maybe we just had viruses once in a while, so we had to take care of antivirus. Now you have advanced persistent threats and all other threats, so we need to put in more. But even at that time, even if we had small information, that had to be protected. Today we have a huge information with BYOD and this. We have to protect that. The core is information protection, data privacy. Only thing is people's entire need or expectations have increased that earlier people didn't care that you really had a floppy virus aa bhi gaya, so they'll just format the floppy and be done with it. But today, that expectation is that everything has to be foolproof at all times. So, I still feel while CIO's role is different, it's yet the same. And CIOs need to be ready if they want to really take off. While the fundamental role has not changed, there are some aspects as we discussed have changed and we need to focus on that part. And actually it is more of from this evolution perspective, the word that was used. It's more of time to adapt. Time to adapt how we can work in a new ecosystem where my employees have evolved, my management has evolved, their IT thinking has evolved, the entire vendor landscape thinking has changed. And can the CIOs and the IT teams really adapt from that perspective? The last slide. One thing that irrespective of, we have to face one reality whether we like it or not, whether IoT comes, 3D printing comes, or maybe tomorrow 5D, 6D printing, I don't know what will come. One thing, one role of CIO which will never change, okay, which is this. Still we need to have a balance between the users kya mang rahe hain, business kya mang raha hai, technology, what vendors. So we really need to really still play that dance and ensure that we have to have a great balancing act. Whether when the person was GDP manager or tomorrow whatever new name for the CIO comes in, I don't know. Maybe some consultants may come up with a very different name for CIO also. But that fundamental would still remain the same. So that's how I see the role of CIO changing or not changing. I just wanted to leave certain thoughts with all of you so that there's a food for thought. There's no right or wrong answer in these cases, but think from your own perspective. Has the role changed, not changed? Has it evolved? Is it evolved because of CIO or evolved because of the ecosystem or both? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Sethi. I love that last slide. So you remain that same dancer. Steps will change, the costume will change, but you have to keep dancing along the line. So may I request Ms. Shirley Biswas, the Associate Vice President, Human Resources ABP Private Limited, to please hand over a memento to Mr. Sethi. Thank you, sir, for that very interactive session.